Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Jadu's Virtual Academy, Summer 2020. Thank you for joining us today. I'll just move on. I'm Richard Friend, Vice President, and this morning's keynote will be a collaborative effort between myself and Andy. Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Rich, and morning, everyone. How you all doing?
Yeah. Well, they're not all going to answer, Andy. Yeah, it's how is that a little bat cave you've got there?
It is, yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah, yeah.
Darkened room.
Okay. I came to the office this morning in the TARDIS, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. Right, so let's crack on. Today, as with all other Jadu academies, would like you to join the conversation. Hashtag Jadu Academy. As always, if you have to drop off or anything else, we'll share the recording after. Ask comments, questions, etc. In the chat. I see Rebecca, you think very good, thank you. So thank you very much. And there might be some Q&A at the end of the session. Although anyone who's been to a Jadu keynote and academy before will know the amount of time we have left to spare at the end of what we normally say in a keynote. Sometimes doesn't leave time for questions, but we'll see how we go today. We can always just move the person on. So we'll start off just to check everyone is everyone's awake. Quick poll. So what we're going to do is hopefully you'll get something on screen now, which is how are you doing today, or how you're doing is what I was told to say it like. So are we feeling great? Are we feeling okay? Not so good? Not sure yet. It's too early. If you could just answer on screen, and we'll see how everyone's doing. If people are answering.
You've already had a comment on your TARDIS there, Richard.
Have I? Well, yeah, it's we wouldn't be a Jadu Academy without something sci-fi. Scott Redfern, sorry, can't hear anything. I think that's probably going to be your end then, Scott, because other people are commenting that they can hear us. Danny, unable to hear anything either. Okay, so I don't think we've got subtitles, although frankly there's usually a joke about my accent, which means that there should be. So maybe we'll work on that for the next virtual academy. So have you got the results there, Andy? I'm just having a look. If we close that poll, so we had 44% are feeling great, 38 feeling okay, six people, it's too early. Oh dear. Sorry for getting you up at 9:30. And one not so good, so I hope you feel better a bit later. Anyway, let's crack on. So the agenda for the next couple of days. First time we've gone over a couple of days. Andy and I dealing with first thing this morning. Sort of the usual messages we need to give out, etc. Then today's very much focused on accessibility. So we start off with some of our design and sort of UX team running through. I've got a workshop around accessibility being led by sort of Jack, Luke, Ed, and Jadine. We then are really grateful and thank you in advance for Claire from Harrogate, Catherine from Pendle, Graham from Shore Trust, and also there Jack, which I think is being facilitated by Austin, who are running a panel session around accessibility. Paul Johnson then this afternoon is doing a session on accessible content for your website. And then the final session today, we have 3 product owners which cover off the product updates, and some of which Andy will probably steal most of their thunder, I expect, in this keynote. And then he'll hide for the rest of the day before they get after him on that. So we finished the day with product updates, accessibility. There's a huge focus at the moment on accessibility, both sort of from a public perspective, from the sort of public-facing sites, but also within our software. And I'm sure that will be covered a lot later. And then tomorrow morning, we're very pleased to have Sally Moss from Swindon, who's effectively doing this morning session around the emerging technology and the work that Swindon have been doing over the last probably 18 months, but specifically some of the things that I've been doing, I think, around the COVID. Then that sort of leads nicely into a product update from Tom on CXM. Then in the afternoon, we've been doing some work with, or Helen, I say we, it's the royal we for Andy and I, but Helen and her team of the integrations team have been doing some work in conjunction with Soprasteria for, I think, Broxbourne Borough Council, with some integration with WhiteSpace, which is something that is now available on the Integrations Hub. And then really pleased to sort of round off tomorrow afternoon. We've got a session which James is leading alongside Mike from Methods around some of the bits that we've been doing with CXM and some of the integrations you can use with sort of G Suite and Microsoft 365, being able to get data in and out of CXM. So that's really the agenda for the next couple of days. As usual, all the sessions will be videoed and they'll all be available online later on. So the other thing we always have with an academy, and this is no different, is we support a charity. At the moment, or this particular charity for this academy is particularly close to Jadu at the moment. So we're supporting ovarian cancer action in this academy. We have 2 Google Home Minis to give away for you to win. We're going to give one for the best tweet that will be judged as it usually is by sort of Kirstine and Abby. And the second, if anyone who donates through the link at the bottom on Just Giving, then you'll be entered into a draw. It doesn't matter what size your donation, and we will randomly pick someone, and they'll also win a Google Home Mini. If you do make a donation, please can you just put your full name. Don't just put Bob or Jane, because we won't know who you are. But if you can put your full name, that'd be appreciated. And hopefully we can raise, Jadu, I think, always matches what's donated. So it'd be really great if we could raise some money for ovarian cancer action. So we're going to jump into a poll. So we'll just have our first proper poll, as opposed to how are you thinking, how are you feeling, and this it is. Which technology trend do you think will have the greatest impact on digital service delivery in the next year? RPA, chatbots, booking, single sign-on, broadcast channels, for example, GovNotify, or other? So if you could all have a vote.
I think you can select multiple answers on that one as well, folks. So yeah, please feel free to pick all that are relevant.
So quite a few votes going in, and at the moment, single sign-on. Oh, it's just been overtaken. It's like election night, isn't it? Swingometer. So just give it another 10 seconds if you haven't voted. So we haven't got a timer counting down on that, Andy, have we? So
no.
So let's close it on 3, 2, 1. Now. It's almost like that happened by magic, then, isn't it, Andy?
It is. Yeah.
So what do we have? We have a tie. RPA and chatbots both with 24%, followed by single sign-on with 20% and booking functionality 18%. So pretty close between all 4 of those. And there's we've got some content coming up on some of those channels, so it'd be hopefully that'll feed into some of the things we're going to go through in a little while. So in terms of Jadu journey and people who are starting out on their Jadu journey, really pleased to be able to welcome a number of new faces and people to sort of joining the Jadu family and the Jadu community since the last academy. So in the UK, Slough, Tonbridge, Rochdale, Welling, Wigan and Hull are all sort of joining the Jadu community. In the US, some of our overseas colleagues, Montana, state of Montana, their justice department are also currently implementing Jadu. And in Australia, and those of you familiar with sort of the work that LJQ, who presented, I think, at the last academy in person, they are continuing their rollout of Jadu to across Queensland, and Peru, Shire and Charleville are also now members of the Jadu community, two of the more recent ones to join that.
Yeah, so I mean, following on from that, really, at the start of June, the LGAQ hit an impressive milestone, really, where they rolled out their 50th website to the member councils, which was a huge achievement both for the LGAQ and Jadu, really. I mean, with the coronavirus pandemic impacting the world, there was never a more important time to continue this project at speed to roll out improved digital services across Queensland. There is a blog post where we talk about the 50 sites, and also included in that there's a shout out to Logan City Council, who recently achieved the accolade of being the first local authority in Australia to receive the gold rating for the Plain English Award. So very much well done to them. And I guess in a similar vein, so Jadu Creative are working on a set of themes for the platform at the moment, and basically updating our theme offering to make it quicker to spin up a website in the platform. We've seen many of our clients have to pivot their business models and services in light of COVID-19, often having to deliver services and spin up websites and microsites quickly as new challenges are emerging. I've just got a few slides here just to kind of show you what's coming soon here, but I do have to stress that this is a work in progress at the minute. So I suppose a good place for us to start was to look at the various different genres of site that we can be asked to design for. And here you can see a list of areas and types of site theme that the team have started to look into. And no doubt we will iterate these over time. So watch this space, and hopefully we'll be posting more updates in the coming months on those. But just to kind of quickly help you visualize this, how this will work is we'll have 4 tiers, and what we've got here are 4 visuals to represent those tiers for the same design, in effect. So dependent on the tier level you select, this will determine how much custom effort is involved to implement that design for you. So starting from the left at tier 0 there, this is your basic tier template, and as we shift further up the tier options towards the right, our offering will include some more customizations based upon that tier. And then finally, when you reach the tier 3 option all the way up on the right hand side there, this would mean a full design and implementation process as we regularly receive from the creative team. We feel this gives a wider spectrum of options in line with what we can offer design-wise. Not every client is after a full design, and on the flip side, not every client is after a basic template. So our solution here is to offer various grades of solution with varying levels of custom work. So I guess just to give it some context, here's the theme design for Bracewell Homes. I'll just show you a couple of very quick visual examples here across different mediums. So starting with a large desktop screen just there, then kind of moving on to kind of a regular laptop size screen, then just the two combined side by side there, and finally on a mobile, and again across different points of scroll on that mobile view there as well. So, I mean, just to reiterate, this is still a work in progress. It's coming soon. To find out more about this, if you're interested on this, then you can call Ambrina or raise a support ticket, and both will be very happy to direct you to the right person.
Cheers, Andy. So just to cover off something we did in April that hopefully people are aware of, is that we've changed the name of Spacecraft to be or Spacecraft Creative to be Jadu Creative. So this has got nothing to do, or it's not a result of COVID. It was to do and tie in with G-Cloud 12. So we listened to feedback that it was starting to be, or could be, confusing. Am I dealing with Jadu? Am I dealing with Spacecraft? Different listings. So from G-Cloud 12, there's only one entry. It's Jadu, although that is Jadu Creative. And we work increasingly with partners on new business opportunities. We work with Highland, we work with Northgate, we work with Methods, we work with Stereo, we work with LJQ, we work with Liberator. And when we are bringing in sort of new community members, again, where people are doing work, or it's going through we're effectively the partner, it's far easier if it's just referred to as Jadu. And so we've made that change. We recognise that our brand strength is Jadu, and this is how we will refer to all our businesses moving forward. Some of those sort of partners and relationships have really been driven by the work we've been doing on accessibility. We're really pleased that we have sort of 3 partnerships that we want to publicise and talk about: AbilityNet, SilkTide, and SureTrust. And some of you might have had or listened to a podcast that we've been working with SureTrust at Braintree. And again, it's a really good podcast, well worth listening to. And again, a lot of the focus of today is around accessibility. We're also really pleased with how we do. I think this started at the start of the year. SilkTide started doing monthly listings of how local authorities are performing against single, double, and AAA compliance. And last month, really pleased that 9 of the top 20 sites were powered by Jadu. This has sort of been a consistent, sort of 50% of the top 20 or top 30 have been powered by Jadu since these listings started. And last month, South Lanarkshire were number 1, and Rotherham were number 2. And sort of we give congratulations to all our customers who feature in those. And again, we will continue to strive to help all our customers and all our clients achieve as higher accessibility score as possible. And I think we're working at the moment on a AAA site with Harrogate when that's relaunched. We also have a lot of resources available. If you're members of Soccer Team, they have an accessibility hub, and there is a lot of previous Jadu content on accessibility available for digestion and viewing through the Soccer Team website around the accessibility. They've got like a resources hub on accessibility. So again, just sort of signposting people to that. One of the other things we're doing actually in conjunction with Soccer Team is that we are providing a light accessibility audit. This is something, sort of a new offering that we're looking at or tailoring towards non-Gov UK websites. So if you have a series of other sites, they don't have to be Jadu sites, but you're related to them or you're responsible for them, then we can perform a light audit for those. If you're interested in that, we will share the booklets in either as handouts or as links later on, and either contacts with sales at Jadu or Juliet Cox, and we'll come back to Juliet later on in this in this presentation. But Juliet is a new business development manager for our existing clients, and joined the team during COVID. Actually, the first time we've onboarded someone where everyone in the organisation is remote working. So I think the fact that the picture was taken, she's still got a smile on her face. So we really pleased Juliet's on board, and hopefully she'll get around to speak to most people who are attending or listening to this webinar at some point soon. Andy, do you want to tell us about some go lives?
Yeah, sure. So we're just going to focus on a few CMS customer go lives in this section. There's been hundreds of new services implemented across the customer base due to COVID. So we've had a number of go lives, and just want to highlight a few. So I guess first up here we've got Newham in London. So they're a new customer with a new CMS implementation. This was a completely bespoke design that's been implemented by our creative team. This was actually our first lockdown site go live, interestingly. So yeah, that's Newham. We've also had Southend-on-Sea Council. So they were an existing customer. They've effectively had a re-implementation of their existing design, but under the new under Photon now. And then we've also got a different example here with Shape Homes. So that's under the control of York City Council. This utilises a brand new housing module that we've developed that can be used to showcase local property developments, either within a Housing Galaxy site or as part of a main site as necessary. This has been designed with reusability in terms of the module for any other organisations that might have an interest in this. So we'll dig into that now, actually, with a quick video overview. So I'm just going to quickly flick over to a video here. Okay, so what you're going to see here is just a quick tour through the front-end user experience initially. So we're using the York Shape Homes design theme. So it's been developed to utilize the standard home pages and widgets capabilities of the CMS under the hood to give you control over look and feel and control over any additional content that you might want to add into the pages through widgets. There's effectively a set of 8 widgets that have been developed within the module. An example you just saw on the screen there was the site plan. Now we're looking at a listing of different property types, where you get the large image, description, name, link through then to a property homepage, where you get, hero images, titles, a link to go and register your interest in the property, a description, things like floor plans. There's separate widgets for that as well, along with individual features or specifications for properties, which can be, again, controlled through the module. So effectively, we've just jumped into the control center here, and what you're seeing now is a selection of home pages. So there's the property type, the development listing, development types, and that's just, as you can see here, we've got a few friendly URLs that get set up as part of the installation of the module. So effectively, there's 3 main home pages with a development list.
So Andy, it might just be, I don't know what people are like at home. It sounds like I'm on the One Show or something, doesn't it? But it's only just, for me, caught up to the friendly URLs.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I'm now looking at the friendly URLs page where you've paused it.
Oh, okay. So I'm on a property development page where I've actually paused it. So that's interesting. Interesting. Okay. All right. I'll hit play. Is it playing again for you now?
Yeah, I'm on property development as well now.
Okay. All right. So So once you're actually in here, you've got a module page in effect to manage a property. You can set up the features. They've got icons, names. You can link to a particular gallery that you set up to really, sell those properties and the individual kind of rooms and how they're made out. There's also then, so you can control things like the price description, images, floor plans, brochure URLs, things like that. You can also have a booking URL to have a visit. Now, these are just links, so you could link there to an XFP form if you've got XFP to capture those details as well. And then basically here, you've just got a set of settings where you configure which is the homepage for those different, whether it's a development list or a property listing. And then you can basically set up galleries for those resources to really put across what the properties look like, whether they're mock-ups or whether that's actual photos, for example. Okay, so I mean, that's a very quick overview of that new module that's now available. So again, feel free to reach out to our teams if you have a desire to learn more about that module and whether it can help meet some of your own specific needs in these challenging times. Okay, so
I think we're just having another poll here now, Andy.
Yeah. So I think if we bring up the first poll then, in terms of, we're just interested to see how you found the past few months since the coronavirus crisis began, really. So options of manageable, okay, challenging, unbearable, or other, please add in the chat window. I think this is a single choice one, this one. So we'll give you 10, 15 seconds to give us your answers on that. Okay, so last few seconds. Okay, if we could close that poll then. Okay, so majority have said challenging, 50% have gone with the challenging option. Manageable, 29%. Okay, 17. There was a couple of others added in the chat. I didn't see what those were, Richard. I don't know if you saw those come in at all. Good to hear that nobody said unbearable, at least. So that's positive.
Yeah, so stuff. What about only just bearably challenging? So yeah, that's cheating, isn't it? Trying to combine answers. It is. Simon, bored with working in a square cupboard. Yeah, that's right. It's challenging, very busy. And Paula, yeah. The rest of our digital were furloughed. Jonathan Clark, everyone was furloughed apart from yourself. So I see. I'd take that as a compliment. Or yeah, I think how we get there. So cool.
Okay, so I think another poll, haven't we? Straight after that one. So if we could bring that one up, yeah. So even though it's been a difficult time, do you feel some blockers have been removed to help you digitally transform quicker? A simple one, that. Yes, no, not sure. And again, add in chat.
So we've got a clear winner on this one.
Yeah, already.
Although I'm intrigued, I'm going to have to flick to see what's been added in chat for the one response in chat. I didn't really have any blockers. Yeah, we need to think through some of these questions a bit more carefully next time.
Right. Okay, so if we close off that poll then. Okay, so 68% yes, that's really kind of given the opportunity to transform quicker. 17% second most popular answer with not sure, then 13% with no, and then 2% added in chat, as Richard mentioned.
Cool. Cheers, Andy. I suppose we can't go through sort of a keynote in this current circumstance without touching on COVID. And I think one of the things as a business we did very early on was we effectively issued a sort of a public statement or a letter that Suraj sent out to the team in terms of where our priorities were. And we would hope that wherever we've been asked to support or do something or help find a way around any issues that you faced with having to be really reactive over the last few months, that we've stepped up. We've stepped up and been able to assist there. We also, I say, we on library, which is something which we haven't really touched on in this keynote, but we have got a sort of a community toolbox page that we've been regularly updating. Thank you for all those of you who have contributed, whether it be booking templates, business grants. I think track and trace was the most recent one. I think Central Bedfordshire, apologies if it was someone else, but I've got a feeling Central Bedfordshire gave us their track and trace form and case type, I think last week, which went up on the library. But we've got this as a sort of a landing page which you can go off and find all the things that you can use in relation to COVID. One of the other things that came out as feedback, I think it was around the time of I think Andy, you did a virtual academy replacement of our Scottish one in I think it was in March, which was very much focused around just a product update. Was feedback around CMS widgets and frankly the lack of any CMS widgets on the library. So hopefully we have addressed that over the last 3 or 4 months, and certainly there's some widgets such as I think for the NHS that have gone up that hopefully have been of use and assistance to people. We also launched a community portal, which is there for organisations, not necessarily who use Jadu, but who have the ability to take advantage of using some Jadu forms that we'd created in assistance with Methods. So thank you very much, Methods and AWS, in terms of being able to provide the ability to have be able to react quickly when things come along. So what we're planning to do is sort of regenerate, I suppose I can say that with a TARDIS behind me, sort of regenerate the community portal somewhat. And we're looking to turn this into a place which is a playbook. So if there is other major epidemics, or sorry, major incidents or epidemics going forward, there is a place where different levels of government or voluntary organisations can go to and find the information they need to be able to react quickly. It's something that we're working with Nick Hill, who some of you may know, to sort of collate best practice content and provide this as a portal. So rather than it being on Jadu Library, which is very Jadu orientated, this is somewhere where potentially there is a place to go to be able to find things or ways to do things that potentially sit outside of just the sort of the digital sphere. So I'm sure we'll be circulating that and having more conversations about that with you all and asking you for your assistance over the coming months. But that's sort of the next sort of phase or iteration of what we're doing with our sort of our COVID response. One of the other areas which has been new for us, and I think we're really proud of, is the launch of our podcast channel. So some of you may be familiar with Austin, who hosts these podcasts and has an interview style that I would say is probably more Ken Bruce than Andrew Neil, but they're really good listens. There's some absolute gold as people tell their stories. And we've recently launched, I think last week, Birmingham, who are talking around the first 100 days and the sort of the impact and role of the website and what they're doing. And we also have, I think the phrase is in the can. I think that's the phrase, Austin. We have one with Newham, and again, that's around launching their new website during COVID. As you'll see in the chat, you can download and you can listen to these via Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud, and it's something that I think, again, we welcome feedback, and I think we'll try and continue to do these. And also, if you think you've got something people would want to hear about, maybe, but you think, well, actually, do you know what? Sitting in my bedroom, I don't want people to see me on video, so I'm happy to have it recorded as a radio broadcast. Get in contact, because I think these stories are fascinating, and we'd love to keep going. Austin telling me he had to Google Ken Bruce. Well, Austin, that's just because you listen to the wrong radio stations, probably. Just in terms of COVID, in June, we went through 400,000 cases being raised in CXM across our community in a single month, and this is everyone's getting very familiar with graphs these days and trends. But in terms of over the last 12 months, in terms of CXM and its usage and its adoption, clearly there's been a sort of substantial growth where sort of, we were quite pleased at the back end of the year. We went through that 100,000 case barrier, and we're now up to, well, actually went over 400,000 in June. So again, I suppose it's an interesting, the growth was driven by particularly bookings. So who would have thought 12 months ago that you had to book your recycling visit? Yet I know Medway were running it on behalf of I think all of Kent. Again, I think that's I think that might be one of the things we've covered in one of the podcasts. I think Gloucestershire actually is the podcast relating to bookings, but Gloucestershire County Council, Medway, Lincolnshire County, all have done. We've seen significant volumes of transactions going through for effectively a new service, and part of it. This is a sort of a quote that is pretty well known, and what we're hearing about a lot from you guys is the importance of data and being able to see what's going through the volumes, the cases, being able to understand sort of the trends, etc. And one of the things that, and again, sort of hooking around to one of the, I think what we finish with tomorrow afternoon, is around what you can now do through sort of webhooks and the API with CXM, how that's developed over the last sort of 6 or 9 months. And already on Library, there are a series of tutorials about how you can use webhooks to hook, if I can use the word hook twice, CXM into, in this example, there's Azure Logics, but there's also Zapier. So you don't necessarily have to use XFP to be able to get data into CXM or being able to get data out. There are other ways which are being opened up, and certainly that session tomorrow afternoon, which is around integration with the Microsoft 365 suite and also sort of the Google suite, is a session I'd highly recommend. And I suppose with those new services coming online, we released an ebook that is available in the handouts piece on your screen at the moment. For those of you who haven't seen it, around Ready for Reset, considerations for what comes next. And again, we'd be really interested in feedback, because we'd look to maybe update this sort of 3 months on as to what happens. Andy, do you want to pick up product?
Yeah, so there's just 5 minutes left, so I'll go super quick through these because there are individual product sessions both later on today and tomorrow. So CMS, XFP, and Pulsar are later today, and there's the CXM session tomorrow morning. So we'll do more detail in those individual sessions. But effectively, in a nutshell, available now. Richard already mentioned the additional widgets that have been added to the library. There's this quick screenshot there just to capture some of those and what they are. Some were in response to COVID, and some were just kind of general things that would be useful through this time, like the scheduled content widget, for example. We also added support for Bartek for later versions and some additional logics in there, as well as updating the Blue Badge API to support the Department for Transport's API number 71. A few API endpoints for CXM, WhiteSpace integration, which Richard mentioned earlier, and the new housing module, which I told you through earlier on. So they are kind of available now. And also what we've added to our G-Cloud 12 listing, which will be going live in due course, is the availability of the Jadu Lexbot in terms of the CXM integration we have there with AWS Lex. Also a chatbot widget, which you can basically embed on your CMS, on your website, which will then interact with that Jadu Lexbot. So you can type in a chat, basically responding to the questions to eventually raise a case in CXM. As also the work that we've been doing with one of our technology partners in Blue Prism around RPA, obviously coming back to that poll from earlier on in the session. It seemed like the two top answers, I believe, that were drawn were RPA and chatbots. So that's opportune in terms of the results of that poll and a couple of new listings that we have there. In terms of WhiteSpace, so the standard integration that we've shipped is two-way now. So we've done that over a couple of phases of work. So worksheets can effectively be created in WhiteSpace from CXM, and then updates made directly in WhiteSpace can be pushed also back into CXM. This does require the HubIS and CXM services. I won't go through the individual screenshots there just in the interest of time, but that's kind of how technical or non-technical it is to actually achieve an integration with WhiteSpace just through mappings there. Up and releasing next. So we've got CMS 20, so we've got a major release coming of CMS and XFP in effect. And that is mostly around adding WCAG 2.1 support into our user interface of the actual software itself, as well as updating the Symfony and jQuery libraries that we use within those. We've also added some deployer as standard for LAMP only implementations, and a Galaxy's theme based upon the GDS design standards. What we're also starting to work on is we're partnered with Welling and Hatfield and Broxbourne and Sopra to work on integration with Capita Revenues and Benefits Portal. So that's work that we'll be that we're working on upcoming, and we should be releasing next from the integrations team. And we're also just in the throes of releasing in the next couple of days granular permissions for case types and GovUK Notify. We've done over a couple of phases. This phase we're just adding support for letter sending. So tune into Tom's session tomorrow to see examples of that. And yeah, so effectively GovNotify is sending letters now as well. And then following that, we'll be moving on to updating the operating stack for CMS and XFP. We'll be moving to support PHP 7.4 and also updates to the various database engines that we support as well. CXM team will be looking at SAML authentication and single sign-on with that. And the integrations team will be looking at enterprise content management integration with the Highland on-base system, which is one of our partners, technology partners. And Richard referenced it earlier, but Silktide, one of our new Accessibility Alliance partners, we're doing some integration there with their platform, with the CMS, so that you can actually have a good correlation between what Silktide's dashboard is saying and actually then making changes within the CMS to reflect that. And also Tescomi. So we're working with another local authority at the moment around integration with the Tescomi product. So that's a regulatory services. They've recently been taken over by iDocs. So very similar to the uniform type integration that we've developed to date. Over to you, Rich.
Well, just before that, Andy, just a quick poll that you probably didn't know about, but I'm always, I see your slides, and I just want to just do a quick double check before we wrap up. So very quick poll, if you could vote. Are you still awake? Yes, no, oops, or just. And right, that's good enough now. So I'll close that. And the good news is that most people stayed awake, Andy. We've done all right. We've done all right now, 45 minutes. So just very quickly, I mentioned a lady called Juliet Cox earlier on. She's one of two new Jadigers who've joined us over the last few months. The second being Andre, who some of you may well have already had contact with and engagement with, as he joins Sarah, Reese, and Charlotte as the sort of the first port of call on the support team. So if you have any contact with them, they're both very nice, very friendly, and just really giving you a heads up that we've got some new people who've joined Jadu who'll be in contact with you. Just as we get towards the end, in handouts, which you should have available to you, there are the accessibility downloads, documents. There is also the agenda, if you wanted to keep that to hand, and also the ebook. I started off with, and maybe we'll just drop in the chat again, the link to Just Giving. But in terms of our fundraising, one of the things I should just say is that we'll announce the prize winners both in sort of the follow-up communications and potentially over social media. And as I say, it's a cause close to our hearts. So would appreciate if you are able to make a donation to the charity, would be appreciated. So that is effectively the end of this first session. We've learned from academies in person, and we've built in a bit of a lag for any overrun, which actually, Andy, we've done pretty well here. So we'll be dialing off shortly, and if you all go and sort of refresh your cups of coffee or what have you, and we move into the rest of the day. So whilst we've been talking, I've seen Jack arrive. So the workshop on accessibility and usability post-COVID kicks off in about 25 minutes, just over, at 11:15, and then that follows through with a panel session. Then later on, the accessible content and the product updates. And then tomorrow, again, we go through with sort of the emerging technology and Swindon story with Sally, product updates, the WhiteSpace integration that Andy's referred to a couple of minutes ago, and then James and Mike going through some of the work that's been done with CXM and Microsoft and Google. So I suppose it just finish is to really thank once again the people who are helping us over the next couple of days. Claire, Catherine, Graham, Sally, Fred, and Mike. And hopefully this is the first time we'll have run a virtual academy. As always, really appreciate your feedback in whatever format it is, and hopefully you enjoy the day. So just having, also tell us what you think. Yeah, that was almost seamless, wasn't it, Andy? Bit.ly survey-jadu-academy. And the biggest plus for us, Andy, is that we started off with 55 attendees, and currently there's still 55 attendees. Wow. So it's done all right. So enjoy the rest of the day, and hopefully see you all soon. Thank you.